Is it possible to beat backpack battles without using any neutral items? After a long wait, Backpack Battles 1.0 is finally out, and with it came a massive amount of new items, synergies, and even 2 new classes. I've been having a ton of fun with the game recently, so I decided to challenge myself. I wanted to see if it is possible to win a run of Backpack Battles by only using class-specific items. That means no sword, no pan, no broom, no shields, no armors, and no to basically half of the items completely essential for more synergies and builds. You should stick around because what I ended up finding was completely ridiculous and unexpected. Let's start by clarifying the rules. If an item is available to all classes by default, I am not allowed to start the round with it on my board. This intrinsically also disables using it for crafting, even if the item it crafts into is class specific. Bags, even though available to all classes, are allowed. The game technically doesn't treat them as items, as evident by the fact that they are not boosted by the effects of other items such as the Shield of Valor and cannot interact with piggy banks, even though some of them should otherwise be able to do so. I can play as any character I want and purchase whatever I want as long as I start the battle with only non-neutral items in my backpack. Finally, the end goal of the challenge is to get to 10 wins and survive until the final round of survival without losing all of my lives. Even though the rules are pretty simple, there are multiple ways to approach this challenge, and some of them are quite sophisticated. Let's start by evaluating the different classes and get the obvious bad choices out of the way, starting with the worst one, the Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is a horrible character for this challenge, as she doesn't have any class-specific offensive items that don't require inaccessible crafting to obtain. Her healing items are also not amazing by themselves, and her dragons come too late into the game and take too long to hatch. Next up, the mage is very new, so at the time I was recording this, I wasn't too good at optimizing her kit. But judging by the fact that almost all of her builds require a staff of some sort, I deemed that she would be also a poor choice for this challenge. Continuing with the ranger, she has some class-specific win conditions that don't require inaccessible crafting and scale very well into the late game, specifically the bows such as Fortuna's Grace, Dusk Piercer, and Belladonna's Shade. This plus the fact that she has one of the best accessories in the game, the Aegon Collar, and some common items like the short bow for early game, she is a really solid pick for this challenge. Next up, the Reaper. The Reaper is another interesting choice, as she has multiple items that scale into the late game, such as the deck of cards, the Doom Caps, and the Dead Sight. I personally don't like the fact that all of her damage items, other than Fly Gardex which suck, come into the game pretty late, as they are rare and above in rarity. This makes her really RNG reliant and unreliable. Continuing with another interesting choice, the Berserker. The Berserker starts with the ability to battle rage, which, combined with the hammer, in and of itself guarantees a pretty solid early game. She also has multiple scaling options for later on, such as her class-specific runes, her pets, and cheese, the arguably best food in the game. And finally, in my opinion, the best character for this challenge, the Adventurer. The Adventurer can innately gain access to all class-specific items, which by itself is amazing as it vastly increases the pool of items I have available. She also gains the ability to generate items at the start of the round, which, if you didn't know, can give you crafted items directly, allowing me access to things such as staffs, certain goober variants, and even items locked behind subclasses. As for item choices, it really comes down to RNG, but most of all I will be aiming for poison. Now you may be asking yourself, why poison? Well, the reason for this is many of the endgame poison items are class specific and work pretty well by themselves. This of course can be countered if the enemy has a lot of cleanse, but as this challenge will be performed in unranked, where people don't necessarily optimize their builds, this should not be that much of a problem. Other than this, I will of course be fishing for lucky drops, but these are too random to pinpoint in the strategy. Starting off with round 1, I already had to sell one of my starting items, the garlic, as it is neutral, leaving me with only a piece of broccoli and a dream. After rolling for a bit, I managed to get my hands on a short bow, a book and some space. Not the ideal start of a run, but hey, it's something. I even had hopes of winning my first match, and then I got demolished and it wasn't even close. This alone began wavering my morale. Was I about to get humbled on repeat? Well, probably. But then this happened. The Adventurer backpack gave me a Poison Goobert. A Poison freaking Goobert. If you're unfamiliar with the balance in this game, almost any Goobert variant basically guarantees wins for the first 3 to 4 rounds. This is huge, as I can save up some lives from the potentially most difficult part of any run, the beginning. I quickly restructured my board to enable the Goobert I just got with some consistent activation and queued up for round 2. At this point I was feeling very confident. And what can I say, it was completely justified. Expectedly, armed with my Goobert, I completely obliterated my second opponent. A very satisfying moment. I was then forced to discard a corrupted crystal, which was quite painful, and ended up getting a Toad, another very nice item that synergizes great with my Goobert. After this, what followed was a bunch of very easy rounds where I managed to obtain some more great class specific poison items. I was starting to get nervous. I wasn't expecting my very first attempt to do so well. I even got an early cheese. An early cheese! The luck of this run was astronomical and one I likely wouldn't get for many runs ahead. At this point, all I had to do was find ways to scale. A scythe, a snake, or some doom caps would do the trick, but these are quite rare. All I could hope for was getting easy opponents until I find something that I can either fit or pivot to before my Goobert inevitably fell off. My anxiety would only keep rising as I reached round 8 and I had to pick a subclass. This is around the point where most builds start popping off, and my Poison Goobert just would not cut it anymore. I ended up picking Shieldmaster as my subclass, as it would let me stack up some poison and would give me some survivability, but it wasn't great and it certainly didn't fit my build very well, as I didn't have access to almost any armors or shields, which would capitalize on its 100% block chance passive. After this, followed an excruciatingly close win where I survived with 1 HP. I was shocked and happy, but I knew this is never a good sign. My fears were realized and I had officially fallen off. I had to find something good quick, as otherwise I would bleed too many lives and would have none left for the survival stages. A part of the game where I would inevitably lose a lot more, as everyone there has their build fully realized. I then started the round and lost to a horribly unoptimized board, a sign that my downfall was official. Without being able to get any useful skill, I just kept losing and dropped to 3 lives. I was starting to think that it was over. But then, I got matched against an opponent so weak that songs can be sang in their name. An opponent so weak, it bought me just enough time to recover. Thanks for the assist, buddy. I was fully prepared to lose again, but then I encountered this. The most legendary board I had ever seen. The absolutely preposterous 6 Gooberts Archichat, as if those sent by the heavens handed me another victory. Your contributions shall be remembered, legend. The excitement would only continue as I saw the next shop. I could see it. Victory was in sight. If this pun made you smile, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a lot. After rearranging my board, what followed was a satisfying final fight where I had officially reached the endgame, the survival stages. Being on 4 HP and having obtained the Doom Cap, I was feeling great. I only had to win a few games and it would be over. And no, there is no twist. This is exactly what happened. I won my very first attempt. Surprisingly, this was not a very difficult challenge. I got very lucky, sure, but still. I expected that locking myself out of around half the items in the game would put me on a disadvantage so big I would barely be able to even reach 10 wins, let alone survive the survival rounds. I think this proves a really important point in the game. Even though the developers added so many new items, playing on a level below the very top doesn't require you to use them. You can experiment with any combination, and even if you don't get lucky or find whatever you need exactly, you can still just put the scraps together and still have a really fun and powerful run. I love this game, and I had a ton of fun making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it even half as much as I enjoyed making it. Stay tuned for part 2, where I try to beat the game with only neutral items. Thank you for your time, and that's it.